Yeah, so we actually started with poetry, with Black expression specifically, and then it kind of just branched out because once you see success in something, you get more curious. So
Welcome back to Fine 40. This time we found Ronald Williams, co-founder of Black Expressions, a platform in town for the development of artistry, community organizing, and business. And over the last 4 years, they've made quite a buzz. So in this conversation, we get to take a look behind the human being responsible for so much of that, where he's coming from, what he's all about, and where he's going. Hopefully, in his story, you'll find something inspiring and engaging and motivating for you too to lean into your own story. With no further ado, Ronald Williams. We are recording. So before all this, I'll put an intro and do my own little hype piece around. Like, my goodness, I've got to talk to this young lion and check it out. But just tell me.
mhm.
So the way I like to do it is use your story to drop gems and seeds for our story, collective story. So usually
Okay.
I'm like, okay, what are you doing?
hmm
How did you come to be doing that? And
Okay.
where are you going with it? You know what I mean? So I go from present tense, kind of
hmm
look back to past tense, and then go to future. So
Okay.
who are you? How do you introduce yourself? What are you doing in the world?
Got you. What's good, world? How you doing? My name's Ronald Williams. I'm a founder of Black Expression. We got an open mic that we do every Friday night over at World Beat Center before all this COVID stuff started.
Wow.
But yeah, I've just been creating spaces for artists, giving them the opportunities and platforms to express themselves, promoting the positivity and the dynamics of self-expression, and just making sure that that community dialogue stays at the forefront and center of the community development.
Mm. So how did you come to this? So that's powerful. When I look at you, like I'm saying, man, I look online like you
Yeah,
got it all the like the T's dotted or the T. Look, I'm not even getting it right. The T's crossed and the I's dotted, like the whole package. I'm like, man, look at this brother right here. He's serious. So I feel like the amount of intentionality and attention to detail and
hmm
commitment is just real. Like the polish, I appreciate. So,
hmm
how did you come to this? I'm curious about where you're from, kind of what brought you up. I mean, you're still. I think you might be half my age, man. You're still like barely out the chute, but you were running
right.
fast. So what has influenced this sense of community, this sense
hmm
of Afrocentricity, and
hmm
this sense of like, yeah, yes, I can. Like I can do this. Where's that coming from?
Yeah, I think what, that's a perfect question for me, just because I've really been taking this COVID time to kind of dive into those questions a little bit more, because when everybody's ripping and running and you got places to be, it's like you don't really get that time. So I mean, for me, really, I ask myself a lot, like why you started this movement, this community of people, and really, I just felt like it was a simple thing of it was necessary, it was needed.
Mm.
I grew up in San Diego, and I could tell you from the age that I was, born to now, like there hasn't really been a lot of like positive
Mm.
Black spaces that were just unapologetically Black,
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
so
yeah.
I was fortunate enough to run into a mentor that I had that was Dr. Rachel in Hastings. And she really showed me the kind of gave me the blueprint to like, this is how you can implement social justice into becoming creative arts, because like for so long I've kept them separate. Like,
Mhm,
you have
mhm.
social justice over here, you have the protests and the rallies and stuff like that, and then you
Yes,
have the creative arts, you got the spoken
yes,
word, you got the rap, things
yes.
like that. So she really just challenged me and helped me find my voice within the movement and what I wanted to work and do. And that kind of just gave me the fuel to
Yeah.
get that rocket off the ground. It was like, I got to run with this. So got some friends together. We already created like a little collective that she kind of mentored us and
Mhm.
prepped us into moving in this direction. So once, I mean, we got the word to get it going, I mean, we just ran with it.
Wow. So how did you come across this personality? Who is this person?
Yeah, we actually met when I was at Southwestern College. I'm not even gonna lie, I was at like a very low point. Just being at community college, kind of like the community college atmosphere. I mean, you have people that are there to move ahead and get to the university, but then you also have that group of people that's like, I'm getting that financial aid check,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah,
here for class, you know what I'm saying, and I'm leaving. And I just kind of felt myself almost feeling stuck, you know, in that
Mm.
predicament. And I literally met her, I think just off of like, you know, just name going around like, hey, you know, I know this student, and we kind of chopped it up in the grass one day, and like just where her mind was at and the stuff she was doing. It was
Mm.
literally like the older version of everything I was trying to do. She
Yeah,
has like
yeah.
numerous published books, and like, you know, she's like, yeah, you know, I did art full time. I was traveling, and like asking her about those experiences. And the relationship just grew to the point where like, you know, we're still cool to this day. So
Wow. Wow. So does
yeah.
she an administrator on campus or has a role at school? Is that
Yeah, so she was actually a communications professor, but I
okay?
mean, she was so into the performing arts, like she did that stuff pro bono, just on the side, like just giving us the game of how
Yeah.
all that stuff works. And I mean,
Yeah.
till this day, that's probably the most valuable information I've received.
Yes.
Yeah, to
Oh,
this point.
goodness. So then what has fueled though, so I get it, right, when you kind of get, hip to game, if they, so to speak, when someone push you on a little bit, like, okay, here I have a
Right,
little bit of a blueprint. I'm a couple of steps ahead of you. That's the beauty of mentoring. And
right.
so, but it seems to me, I see the masks behind you. I saw the drumming on your thing. Like, you come with your own kind of consciousness,
Yeah.
about this. So where did that come from?
I really think that just came from honestly something my parents instilled in me. Like I was never like the part of the mass minority group. Like it was never a room full of black people, but they made it very sure that like I knew like, hey, you're a black kid, you know, for good and for worse. You know, hey, these are the things you got to look out for when you're out in public, but also like, you know, own that, like take advantage of that. And
Yeah.
you know, there's things that are meant for you in this world. And
Mhm.
I think that's really one of the things that elevated me, because I
Mhm.
really feel like the narrative around black kids is a little concerning, just because like I feel like we don't really push them to the highest extent due to
Mhm.
the
Mhm.
oppression that we have faced
Mhm.
growing up. So that's one of the things I kind of try to stay conscious about.
Yes, my man Brian Favors, who, like I was mentioning him earlier, he's really
Uh,
been a big brother and often mentor to me in so many ways. And we talk about post-traumatic slave syndrome, which is something that's
yeah.
kind of detailed, and part of that is state of learned helplessness, and so
Hmm.
I feel you really, and some of this
Right.
conversation is meant to shift the balance of some of that, right?
Right.
Another brother, Nate Howard, uh, who is the Movement B guy. He's from San Diego, and I think he's up in LA now. He's kind of expanding and getting global with his. But
Man, Nate, for people that don't know, Nate's been doing big things since I was a freshman in high. We went to the same high school,
oh,
so yeah, he's been doing big things since I was a freshman in high school. Like the
okay.
movement B, all the success he's seeing now, that's like
Oh,
years and years of
yeah,
like the grind.
yeah,
Like
yeah,
he
yeah,
he's
yeah,
been perfecting that since he
yeah,
had dreads,
yeah.
so
I
a
know,
long time.
I know. He's got that Nipsey kind of thing going.
Yeah,
You know him, and so we were talking. He's actually one of he's number 3 or 4, I forget, in the line here.
dope, dope.
I spoke to him, and we were talking about that young man singing that song, "I Just Want to Live," and for
Mhm,
him, that was troubling actually to have that go viral. An expression of a young black
mhm,
boy's statement of like almost like pleading to be allowed to live, and he thinks that
mhm.
the recurring imagery of that is more troubling than maybe an image of like, no, I'm gonna live. You know what I mean? Like
Right.
I intend to.
Mhm,
And anyway, I never want to say these things to discount the systematic or the systemic, you know,
mhm.
oppressions and injustices. Those things are very real, and we got to talk about them. But I think some of this thing around mindset and
Right.
how you set yourself up for success are important. So that's why I'm curious about what you're about. So,
Right.
so you say you were not always in majority black spaces, but your
Mhm.
folks were clear with you about kind of the pros and cons and kind of set you up for that.
Right.
So, what brought them to San Diego? How did you? What's how why San Diego?
Yeah, man. So my mom was actually born and raised in the Bay Area. So she was in the Bay,
Mm,
and my dad was in the military, and
yeah.
so he ended up on the West Coast somehow, and they ended up getting together. So I
Uh,
mean that combination, you
yeah.
know, created created me. So
And how
so
many of
yeah.
you are? Is it just you, or do you have brothers and sisters?
Yeah, so I actually have two sisters. I have a half sister in Louisiana, and then I also have a sister that lives in San Diego with me.
Older or younger?
She's younger.
Okay, so
Yeah,
you like, okay, I see. So
yeah,
I have a sister too. I'm the oldest, although she likes to act like she's older than I am, but
man.
I understand that
They don't
dynamic.
even be knowing how easy they got it, man. The younger siblings, I'll be like, if you only knew.
My daughter definitely feels that way. She had to take all the parental newness, she was
Mhm.
baptism of fire.
Right.
So okay. So you got folks that kind of shaped you. You had a
Mhm.
mentor that you came across in undergrad, and now,
Right.
when I read about you, you describe this thing about kind of Afrocentricity and
Mhm.
purpose.
Mhm.
So what's going on there? What do you see? What are you looking towards? Or you stayed in San Diego. Clearly, you have kind of an affinity to family and location and place. But
Right.
what's possible, or what are you hopeful for?
Yeah. So with the Afrocentric side, I think it's just more so just acknowledging and taking pride in the culture that I was never really given the ability to do that. Like coming up in the school system and all of those things, there's never really a chance to celebrate blackness. We may get like a month or in
Mhm.
some cases a day, but I mean, there's never really a chance to just celebrate all the things that we've created, and I think that kind of deters us from the growth process because a lot of becoming who you're supposed to be is knowing who you are.
Mhm.
And
Mhm.
we really don't get that opportunity unless we go to find that ourselves. And we have to search for it very aggressively because, time is short, between, teenage years and being an adult,
Mhm.
that self-reflection,
Simultaneously.
self-development. It's like I personally don't feel like we has as long to do that just because we have to do so much just to find the knowledge
Yeah.
just to begin with. So
Yeah. Yep. 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 So
yeah.
what then? What has influenced you mostly in that space, whether it's artists or
Mhm.
books, or kind of what's shaping your mind around
Mhm.
that identity formation?
I think around the identity for me is just I guess trying to create my own black narrative because I didn't really approve of the one that
Yeah.
was given to me.
Yeah.
And like I said, having that ability now to be like, you know what, I think being black is actually cool and that's okay. Unfortunately that we have to state that or that we matter, things like that. But I feel like, just having the ability to create my own black narrative. Like if
Mhm.
like you said, you're black biotech,
Yeah.
that's not really
Yeah.
the narrative. I didn't find out about engineering and things that have to do with that sort until I got to college, which I personally feel is a problem in itself. But
Mhm.
just creating our own narratives is
Yeah.
very important to me.
Yeah. So I did notice that you like NSBE,
Hmm.
National Society of Black Engineers. So how does that help me? How did you get involved with NSBE, and now you're in communications? How did you shift?
Yeah, so the Seek program was actually a program that I got introduced to by a colleague named Tiffany Harrison, and she was just telling me like, you gotta do this program, you gotta do this program because during this time I was getting very involved with it's called Afrotech. It's like a
Oh yeah.
Afrocentric base. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So I was getting involved with that, and it was just like, well, I don't know nothing about technology, and then
Yeah.
Tiffany was like, look, just do this program. She said you'll learn a little bit about tech, and then you could just take that with you. But the
Yeah.
amount of the amount of information I got from that experience in itself was like just eye opening to me. Just the intelligence of the youth that we got coming up,
Yeah.
the opportunities and resources that we can work harder to make available. That inspired me so much that me and a friend while we were in college, we wanted to start a movement called Black Tech San Diego, which was
Yes.
basically just a movement to kind of
Yeah.
share more
Yeah.
awareness and more information about like what was happening in the technology field from more of like a black narrative or black experience.
Do you know Luis Martinez?
I do, man. I do know
Okay.
Luis, man.
Okay. He's moving.
Man,
He's moving. I
that
just talked to
that
him.
work ethic, bro. I don't
Yeah.
even know how.
Yeah.
Like he
Yeah.
dropped
Yeah.
three events in one day. Hey, I
Yeah.
just knocked all these out. I'm like, man,
Yeah.
I gotta get back on LinkedIn.
He's moving. He's moving.
Right.
I was joking. So I talked to him too. I talked to him last week.
Oh yeah, and all the heavy
With
hitters.
him, you know what I mean? And I was like,
Right.
he schooled me to the Garifuna, you know what I mean? Like where his folks are from in Honduras. And but also just his world. I dropped into his world with a plug, and I was like, "Whoa, he's got a lot going
Yeah.
on in here." So, so I'm with you on that. I couldn't help but think of him when you say kind of black
Hmm.
tech. So, art. So
Hmm.
I got a couple things. So it's funny
Let's
as I
get it.
listen to you and I see your like drums and masks. You say I got my mask on the wall over here too.
Okay, hey, gotta have your
So
set. You know what I'm
I
saying?
come with a little something. But uh, I remember when I was in school, I was all
Hmm.
about that conscious hip hop. Talib and Black Star and
Yeah.
all the ones. Tribe and everybody. And so talk to me a little bit. I know you're on the San Diego Slam team and have
That's right.
competed with your poetry and whatnot. So,
Yeah.
who's in your ear? Who are you listening
Hmm.
to?
Hmm.
And then what sort of things come out your mouth? Like what is it that you find yourself speaking on?
Okay. So for me, I think the biggest influence within like you speaking just music in general.
Just yeah, like art of the word. So whether it's poetic or
Hmm.
hip hop or kind of
Hmm.
what's like woo for you.
Okay. So the group that really helped me through a lot of stuff is Gangstar with Guru and DJ Premier.
Yes.
Yeah. So during my
Ooh,
during my high school years, my dad just had like this vault of music on his computer, and like and during this time, I was just figuring out like what it really meant to like consciously do research on things. So
yes.
I found the group Gangstar almost by accident. Like I wasn't even looking for it, but it
Wow.
just sounded kind of like what I was looking for, and like the messages that he put in here. It's like
Yeah.
this is the epitome of like timeless music because like it's 10 years later. I'm 16 years old and you're teaching me the life lessons that I need to know to make it through life. And like that group got me through high school. Like when I say like got me through high school, I mean like, staying away from drugs,
Yeah.
issues, or situations with women and like friendships falling off, like all just he just talked about all of it like he was going through it with me. You know what I'm saying? And that's when I really started valuing like good penmanship. Like I felt like Guru was like in high school with me. And it was like a great feeling like just reassurance, all of that.
Wow. So then
Yeah.
would you put them as your high water mark then? Is that like kind of your avatar? You like that right there?
Oh yeah, yeah. Just out of respect for what they've contributed to my life, yeah, I'd have to put Gangstar up there, and then right under that, it's gonna be the J Cole,
Yeah, yeah,
Kendrick,
yeah.
all of that stuff. You know what I'm saying? So
Yes.
yeah.
But what would you say? I sometimes ask this as an icebreaker at places. What
Uh,
is, and maybe you just answered it, but maybe I would refine it and say album. I will often ask people, what's the song,
mm-hmm,
artist, or album that you've heard the most, played the most? For me, it's usually Miles Davis, Kind of Blue, followed
mm-hmm.
by like Outkast, ATLians. Like that album.
Okay.
I was trying to hit my daughter to, Logic's recent album. He has
Uh,
some MP4 or something on there, GP4 or
uh,
something, and he mimics. He like, I get on up. It was no idea who came up with this idea, but they
right,
mimic Dungeon sound, and so he kind of uses all the cadences and the same kind of chorus off of
right.
elevators off that album. But for you, what is that? Whether it's artist or
Mm-hmm.
or album or song, what have you heard the most?
Uh, Album, artist, or song? Let me see, man. Whew, that's really a question. Like I just got because I don't know if you do it too, but I go through like phases of artists. Like
Sure,
as I'm growing as a person, like I grow
sure,
into like different forms of music. So I
sure.
mean. I mean, honestly, for that one, I'll probably just stick with Gangstar, just because
Hip
I'm
hop.
just like it's
Yeah,
gonna take me at least 30 minutes to come up with an
yeah,
answer. But
yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I understand. And for me, I have it like I said, probably double the years on you. So to be able to
Yeah.
kind of come back to things, I've done
Hmm.
that. At your age, I
Right,
was sampling everything that whenever it came out, I was trying to see what the next thing was. So
right.
who are you looking for? Who do
Hmm.
you um you know who are you waiting to drop, or who do you?
Hmm.
Well, let me ask you this: where do you get your content from? Where do you listen? Do you listen on
Right.
Spotify or Jay Z's platform? What do you title? What do you?
Man, I do. So every now and then I do title, and then sometimes I just honestly just go off to like YouTube because I like to be able to listen to music when I don't really have other things going on.
Yeah,
And now even to this point, like I'm transitioning more to podcasts just because like I
yeah,
see where everything's going. So like my listening is kind of altered into more of educating myself on the platform rather than like listening for pleasure.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, I mean, I'm using all the streaming services at this point. But yeah, I get more respect to Tidal just because like that's the only one we got.
Yeah,
So
I
you
know.
know what I'm
I
saying?
get it. I feel you. I'm the same way.
Right,
I'm more familiar with Spotify, so I just
hmm
end up on there for whatever reason. But I'm at a
right,
point where Beyonce released something or something new is out, I go look, okay,
right.
and come back.
I feel
Uh,
it.
so where are you trying to go? What is
Mhm,
this? What is this thing? I
mhm,
see, co-founder Black Expressions
mhm,
and it's particularly so. Speak to me about two things. One, what is happening now in COVID time? What you
mhm,
do depends so much. It feels to me on audiences and participation, and engagement, and that energetic give and take.
mhm.
So I'm curious about what's happening with that right now.
Okay.
And then, just in this town, what's possible? Like, what do you think? What would
Right.
you would be pleased to do?
Mhm. So at this point, really, I'm trying to do like the transition into the podcast platform, of course. Doing a little more research on like how publishing works, just because like if I'm going to be putting these things out here, I want to make sure I own them, make sure someone can't just like steal them from what
Yeah,
I'm trying to do.
right.
I'm trying to get more into converting my.
What do you mean publishing in what way? Like put it
So
on net?
yeah. So like basically publishing essentially like the audio clips that we're using. So making sure like the royalties and everything are directed to the organization rather than like someone just ripping it and
Yeah,
taking credit for it. Cause I mean, I just want to have all my P's and Q's dotted before.
yeah, man.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
See, okay, okay.
Yeah. But moving there, trying to get more into like cartoon and animation. Like I'm touching on so many different things just because like the COVID, what it kind of did for businesses is it made them first, it was like digital was an option. If you want to be digital, you
Hmm.
can be a digital company and you can still survive. But
Hmm.
now it's like, digitize or die. And it's like you need to know how to do an email list, how to do your social media. Are you using it for with the data analytics? Are you using it for pleasure? Like you
Yeah.
just have to keep up with the time. So it's like for me, it's like just studying how to move everything that we're doing physically and that camaraderie and that family atmosphere that we create and taking that onto these digital platforms
Yeah.
and making it intertwined, because when things open back up you
Yeah.
want to still use these digital platforms but you're
True.
also going to have the physical ones too.
Yeah. So what are you thinking about with that? So how have you all been meeting online? You've been zooming it up, or how have you been doing poetry?
Yeah, so we've been zooming every Friday. We still do Zoom. Still same time, same everything. Yeah, our big thing is consistency because it's like if you're
Okay.
gonna have people,
Yeah.
come every week, we're gonna be here every week. So every Friday we got Zoom going. And then during the week, I mean, we're just very active on social media and Instagram. So if you follow us on there, like usually posting, reposting stuff, have our own posts, engaging with posts, things like that.
Yeah. Okay, I'm gonna have to. I just literally put the Instagram like
Yeah.
for 540 yesterday or something.
Okay. Okay.
So I'm trying to catch up. I'm trying to catch up.
Hey,
So
it's all good.
okay, all
Yeah,
right.
I feel
So
I feel like with COVID, we're all kind of starting on like an even slate. You know what I'm saying? Like, because you have the bigger businesses, and the bigger businesses now have to come down and
yeah,
relate to these smaller companies. Because even with the current demographic that we have, like millennials want to be in touch with the companies that are being built. They want to know who's behind it. They want to know what you're doing, how you're impacting, sustainability, environment. So, I mean, I feel like the playing field is pretty flat right now. I
yeah,
mean, as long as you can get a group of people to believe in what you're doing, I mean, you're
yeah.
gonna be pretty successful.
Yes, yes.
Yeah,
Let me pivot on you for just a second. So part
yeah,
of this dialogue is to be able to illustrate like not only passion and excellence, but perseverance, how you move through stuff. So
hmm
all of us oftentimes are even defined by,
hmm
but all of us have failures or blips or like booms. And you described one kind of at the gate, like sophomore year, not quite clear,
right.
and made a connection and boom. But over the last couple or maybe even closer to now, do you have things that feel like either a story of struggle that you're moved through or one
hmm
where you're just in it, where it's like your growth edge, where you really feel like, okay, this is something, this is a chain I'm need to break right over here that I'm working on that you would feel comfortable sharing?
Right. Yeah. So I actually have two things that really motivate me. The first one is always my parents. I was fortunate enough to be young enough to be aware of like the work they were doing to get to the point that they got to. They previously divorced, but like before they got to that point, like just the work that they put in for that, and like it just showed me like the amount of drive and work ethic that needed to be put into things, and then also knowing like their stories, like where they come from. Like my dad doesn't come from like any city. He's from a small country or a small city named Avery Island in Louisiana. And I mean, he just made it out of there, got to San Diego, and has been working ever since. Never seen this man take a day off unless the kids were sick. Like, so I mean, just watching that and having that like black male role model, and also a black woman with my mother, just really motivated me. And then also seeing how the workforce kind of treats people of color. You know what I'm saying? Like, hey, because I actually was fortunate enough to go to work with my parents sometimes, and just kind of seeing like, well, why are you doing this amount of work? This person's doing the same amount of work, but they seem to be getting a little more praise, a little more compliments. They're not, my parents aren't coming home with no rewards, but I know the amount of work they're putting in. And it's just like, I just kind of saw like, the system was a little off, even from a young age. So that was one of the things that motivated me. And another thing was just also education, just kind of seeing how things are so like backwards systematically. It just kind of made me work a little harder to be part of that change. Because I mean, the change can't happen by yourself, but I feel like once a good amount of us get on the same page, that's when we start seeing those changes that we want to see.
So speaking of that community and crew, who do
Mhm.
you look towards or get up with in San Diego? Like what's inspiring to you, whether from community organizing or poetry or art or however? Like what's happening out here for somebody that doesn't know?
Yeah. So right now, I really just look a lot to the poetry community. And the community is a lot bigger than people think. I mean, you have the open mics that are on their set days, but like throughout the week, I mean, there's a lot that goes on in people's lives that you just kind of need that support from. So like the poetry community's been great. I got, my big brother through business. His name's Kovu. He's been one of the greatest mentors to my life, just, helping me figure things out, and he's not, scared to share mistakes. Like, yo, this one like this for me, probably don't want to do that. And like that's probably saved me a lot more time than he knows. But it's been great.
So how did you come across this man? What's his role? Tell me more about Kovu.
Yeah, so he actually handles more of the operations. He's the director for Black Expression, and he's been just handling like a lot of the things that happen within the community. Because we have our events on Fridays, but we get calls throughout the week. Hey, I'm going through this. People need housing, people need resources, and it's like we like to be able to be a resource to them. So
Yeah,
when things like that happen, we create a plan. It's like, all right, we're gonna have to do this. Some of them are more sporadic than others, but
yeah,
for the most part, we get the job done.
yeah. Have
Yeah.
you ever been to Kumba Fest?
Yeah, we actually were going to participate in it last just weren't seeing eye to eye with some people, but I mean, we try to be involved with as many events as we can during the year.
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Okay. So then you said promoter kind of at the beginning. Is that, do you have designs on more than kind of poetry? Can you imagine kind of putting music and curating evenings that are a whole event, or are you really focused on poetry? Oh, did I
So,
lose?
so I'm sorry, I couldn't hear you. Say that one more time. The last part.
Sorry, I know. I think my internet connection is telling me that it's a little shaky. So let me see. Can you hear me
Is
right
that
now?
good?
We good?
Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Okay, all right. So I noticed you said promoter in the beginning,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
when that comes online, I think parties or evenings or music or anything like this. So do you have designs that go past poetry, or are you really kind of in the poetry lane? What do you think?
Yeah, so we actually started with poetry with Black expression specifically, and then it kind of just branched out because once you see success in something, you get more curious.
Yeah.
So started with poetry, then we're like, well, what if we do showcases? Bring out people that are doing a lot in the community, talented people, bring them out. Okay, started doing showcases. Then we went back to the poetry slams. Then we started doing like after sets. So I mean, we've literally probably dabbled in most event spaces other than like the bigger like concert type thing.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah,
even that actually we've done a little bit in that, but
yeah.
I mean, yeah, we just challenge ourselves to try new things. So we've dabbled in in quite
Gotcha.
a few different
So,
event types.
so tell me this then, showcase wise, or when you're highlighting talent, who might I not know about that's got heat or fire, or like who are you excited about?
Right,
Artists.
right, right. so with the music, they have an artist out of San Diego. His name's Alpha. I don't know. I probably haven't heard of him, but you could look him up, and I'll send you his information too.
Okay.
Yeah. So he's been doing good with music. There's another artist named Eamon that's been doing a lot. He actually made the move to LA to take it full time. So
Okay.
just I mean, that's a bold move as an artist. I just know like when you're
Yeah.
passionate about something though, you got
Right.
to do it.
Yeah.
And then the last one I'll give you is his name's Fame Emmanuel. It's Faame and then
Yeah.
Emmanuel, and he's been doing a lot too. He's a younger dude, but I mean like his spirit and his energy, like it's
Yeah.
on on another level.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
Wow. Man, this is so much. So do you where are you sourcing from? Do you have any practices or personal routines, like a morning routine or like a theological or spiritual outlook, or what is your like like where do you pull from for I know you mentioned just seeing your parents move and hustle, like that's a lot of motivation, but do you have any personal things that they're like, okay, Ron needs to be doing these things to be like in his right mind? What things are crucial for you?
Yeah, I think I put a lot of emphasis on like innovation and like what's next, and that's really what pushes me to move on to the next thing. I've also seen the experience of what happens when you get comfortable with one idea,
Yeah.
and that taught me at an early age like if you get something successful, like you got to keep moving. Because I had a clothing line when I was in high school, and that actually like got me through high school. Like I did fairly well with that, and it got to the point where I was so comfortable with it in high school. When I graduated, my whole clientele left because it was all the students. So they left. And then I was just like, well, wow, I had this company. My
Yeah.
clientele left, supply and demand. There's no demand. There's not no supply. So that taught me from an early age, like, yo, you got to stay a step ahead of
Yeah.
whatever's coming next. So that's kind of how I try to move now.
Wow. So,
Yeah.
would you ever go back into fashion? I was just watching, Kanye on an interview about, some
Yeah.
of his, designs and whatnot. What's up? What's up with fashion? Would you ever do it?
Yeah, for me, I feel more so like I want to use fashion, but I want it to be used for usability. Like I want it to be fashion that can help you obtain a goal in the tech world. So like, be able to put like code within fabrics and like a whole bunch of other stuff like that. But I mean, I haven't really seen anything like it yet. So I'm kind of just waiting until, it kind of pops up or I create it and then get to the point where I can move forward with it. But that's, one of the long-term goals.
Okay. And
Yeah.
I saw your I think you did a LinkedIn post on patents.
Yeah, I was actually trying to get some information from a guy who said he was like celebrating. He's like, I work at Apple.
Mhm.
I need, I got this patent completed, or he previously worked at Apple, he got that patent completed. And for me, I've learned like, if you don't ask, you don't eat. So I was like, yo, bro, how'd you do it?
Yeah.
What were the steps? What I need to know? And he was, nice enough to just inbox me some information, gave me some game about the patent world, let me know like, what to look out for. Like, for example, with tech companies, they'll actually have you sign things ahead of time to protect themselves from you having, too much ownership of the actual patent. You know what I'm saying? So just things to look out for. The amount of time it takes to actually get a patent complete is like 2 to 3 years. So don't expect no 3 month patent clearance and then $1 million land in your pocket. Just things like that.
Yes, that's beautiful. That's kind of the world that I live in, is in
Okay.
licensing and partnering the rights that you might have in some piece of intellectual property, be it a patent or something else. And
Right.
in pharmaceutical world, that's a
Okay.
real important piece. So
Yeah.
when I saw that on there, I'm like, man, this dude is just in all these little spots.
Man, as a creative, like
Mhm.
I know some people, and I'm not trying to make it lighter than what it is, but COVID is really the opportunity to, in my opinion, do whatever you feel you want to do. Like you're saying, I want to do this side project. I don't know if you'd be able to do the side project, commuting 30 minutes every day,
Yeah,
going to work, meetings in the office. You know what I'm saying? Like,
yeah,
just
yeah,
take this time to just do it. Like I'm in the room just like, what, how can I do with this? What can I do with that? I'm trying to teach myself code. Like I'm doing everything right now. And it's great. Like I love it. It's just like just learn as much as you can.
wow. So
Yeah.
how has this so heavily racialized period landed on you personally? How have you, what conversations have you been in, or how
Mhm.
much of it have you even been taken in, like since George Floyd and the whole country
Mhm.
melting down, the whole planet?
Mhm.
How has that, What's been going on for you? How is that going?
Yeah, it's really had me in a weird place, just because like it's it's what people have been talking about for so long, but it's kind of like now it's like I don't want to say a trend, but it's very popular to the point where like now everybody's talking about it. But it's like when you've been doing the work for so long, it kind of gets to the point where you're just like, well, let's just keep doing the work.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? So that's just kind of where I'm at. Until I see like things actually start changing, and because we've learned from the past, just because people verbalize things,
Sure.
40 acres and a mule
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're necessarily going to get it. So
Yeah.
you just need to stay on your P's and Q's and make sure that they follow through with what they say they're going to follow through with.
Mhm. Have you
Mhm.
had any conversations or things different than maybe previously? Has it opened up any relational space or
Mhm.
anything? Have you had any learnings or ahas
Mhm.
or anything about it, or has it been like because that's how I've had those periods too. When you know somebody gets shot in the street or something happens, and I'll go into work and everybody's they're talking about cats on their socials, and I'm like, man, y'all,
Right.
yeah. So it was always this kind of two worlds thing.
Mhm.
But have you noticed any difference in terms of your interactions or anything more promising, or different about this personally in your conversations?
Yeah, I think this kind of opened up every it opened up kind of everybody that was non-black to
Mhm.
the black experience to an extent that I don't feel like it really has in the past. Just even by like, people checking in on people now. You know what I'm saying? Like Black Death has been a thing in the news for a while now, and getting to the point where you have allies that are like, hey, checking in on you, how are you doing? And then, people starting to actually get more information about it. You always have to check. I'm not gonna lie, if it's really coming from a genuine place, because I mean, some people are just checking to be part of the post. But I mean, for the
Yeah,
most part, it's been pretty genuine love.
yeah, yeah.
Mhm.
Hmm. Yeah, I've dipped in and out. You know what I mean? I think initially I
Mhm.
was really like, wow, I'm in Poway. It's one of the most conservative spots here in San Diego. So
Yeah.
there were times where I was feeling the struggle of like, am I gonna put my Pan African flag out front, or my wife was like, no, don't put sticking your head out the window like that.
Right.
And having to govern all those things. But then it has been kind of beautiful in some ways to have
Mhm.
folks that describe themselves as allies and whatnot do that extra and kind of come like, oh,
Right.
I have a lot of friends I've been friends with for a number of years here in town. Go, wow,
Mhm.
I don't think I've thought about this deep enough, or so
Yeah. And I think it's exposing a lot of the flaws within like the American system, just in regards to how we interact with one another. Just even how we communicate. Like for example, I saw the post with like the politicians taking a knee to stand in solidarity with black, and it's like we didn't ask for the knee. You know what I'm saying? Like we didn't ask you to do that. We just asked. Well, like I feel like we keep asking for justice, and they say, well, we'll get you that, but you know what I'm saying. In the meantime, and it's just like, no, just give us the justice. Like we're not asking you for all the other stuff. Just give us the justice. You know.
yeah. Who do you look at like forget music or anything, but who do you follow? Like whose voice are you
Mm-hmm.
like inspired by most, or is there anything
Mm-hmm.
culture that you're like checking for?
Oh yeah, of course. So two people that are really motivating me right now. One of them's name is Everett Taylor. He's like a black tech mogul who's he created this app called I think it's called Skirt, and he started with that, and then he moved more into the art space and created a app for black artists, and that was one of the things that really motivated me to get more into like the technology field, because it's like everybody loves art, but how do artists really monetize if they don't have a platform to do so? So just kind of looking more into that. And then another person I've been looking at is Tristan Walker. He started
Oh
a walk,
yes,
yeah, Walker and Co. So
yes.
man, dude is like his and the thing I respect about him is not even his business, it's more so like his morals. Like you can tell like he means everything he says and stands by, like down to the T. Like
Yeah,
even during interviews, like his morals never change. He's always like, family, God, work. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
I
yeah,
think it's that order.
yeah,
So,
yeah,
but
yeah,
like, but every time, and I've always respected him for that. I've never met the guy, but it's just like just knowing, how much happens within the media to make, people change stories all the time. But I mean,
yeah,
for him, it's always solid. So,
yeah. So then, so that's important to you. What if someone were to ask Ron Williams,
Yeah.
is it Ron or Ronald? Do you cut it short or not?
Nah, it's not sure yet. So like I believe there's stages of my name. So like so Ronnie was when I was younger, right? Anybody calls me Ronnie, they knew me when I was a child.
Got it.
Ronald was like, okay, young adult, that's where I'm at right now. And then
Okay.
Ron is like gray hair all over the place.
We ain't there yet. Well, now I get you.
Right.
Okay,
So
Ronald, got it.
right. I'm named after my dad. So like
Got
I'm just
it.
following the rule.
So if I came away from this,
Hmm.
what would you hope I knew about your morals or your like priorities?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I think you said three of them.
If I had, if there were like, so you
Oh,
just rip those off for Tristan, you like God, work, family. Maybe it's something he said
right.
sometimes, so you know it. But if you had to pick three, I'm just kind of pulling it out of the hat. But what would you say is primary for you?
Yeah, I can't even lie. The last two fluctuate, but number one is always going to be family first. Like
Mhm.
that, I just feel like that's what it has to be, and I feel like that's where I'm at in my life because my family always prioritized what
Mhm.
I had going on, or my sister had going on, or my mom. Like even though like my parents and stuff aren't together anymore, like the unit structure that they created, it's still calling grandma, still checking in with cousins, and that was just instilled in me to the point where like that's just what it has to be. And now when friends reach a certain level, I just incorporate them into family because that's
Yeah.
just me trying to communicate. Like I'm gonna care for you to the same extent.
Yes. Wow. So
Yeah.
does that so where is family at? Are your mom and pops here? Are your sisters here?
So family's in family's in San Diego.
Right.
And then just my artist family's always traveling. Artists don't know
Yeah.
how to stay still, so
Yeah. Yeah.
always moving. But yeah, San Diego.
Yes.
Hmm.
Man. And you plan on being here for a while?
Nah, actually, plan out.
What?
Yes, plan to be in Georgia for a little bit. So
Okay.
yeah,
No, no, no. But I
so
mean, in terms of like residence location, are you gonna go to Georgia for a while?
yeah, plan to be there for a little bit. I mean, just because like I'm just trying to see something different. You know what I'm saying? Born and raised here,
Okay.
built pretty good amount of things here. Just trying to see what's going on different sides of the
When are you
world. What?
going? You're gonna go to Atlanta?
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna be there.
What? Come on now.
I
What's
don't, I don't, I don't have too many details on it, but I'm just saying like I'm expecting to be there fairly soon. So
See, it's funny you say that. It's funny you're saying this. So I have this pipe dream
uh-huh.
about putting pyramids outside of San Diego in the desert,
Hmm.
LA, and San Francisco, and connecting them to pyramids in Chicago, New York, and Atlanta.
Right.
And there's something about, and I know it's funny, man. I don't know what I'm all about these pyramids and stuff. I got like pyramids behind me, and like I'm all
Right.
Egyptophile or something. But like, what I really think I mean when I talk about it
Hmm.
is centers for the restoration of Black identity,
Okay.
mind, body, and spirit, and then those kind of four places being epicenters,
Hmm.
in this country where I can imagine some reformation happening.
Right.
But it's interesting, if I were to describe a pipeline, like I've often thought of Atlanta as like a sister city, or like if there was a way for us to almost restore. There was so much flight that happened out of the South into the North of Black folks over
Hmm.
periods of time,
Right.
and I feel like the South just gets, like, you from the
Hmm.
South, you know what I mean? My dad's from
Right.
Tennessee, you know what I mean?
Okay.
And these people are really from Mississippi, and
Okay.
so just the opportunity to create linkages there. And I know, people don't think of San Diego as having too many Black folks at all. They really, 6% Black people,
Right.
against 13 or something in the country.
Hmm.
So it's half as dense, which makes it hard to find Black folks. But
Right.
I don't know. There's something in that I'm like, ooh, if we could, because there's such a burgeoning, empowered, diverse,
Hmm.
uh, inclusive, innovative space in Atlanta, right?
Right.
Like if we were to try to blueprint something that we would want to be,
Hmm.
Atlanta is a perfect option. And the Bay, obviously Oakland and all the history of folks, in the Bay Area is
Black
rich.
Panther Party, all that.
No, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I don't know. That just comes to mind. So it's funny that you're saying that. Now, do you have family or anything out there? Or you just are drawn to it from all the buzz. And Tristan,
I'm just Yeah, I'm just interested in it. You know, like a lot of the black tech companies, like Blavity, stuff that I follow, like that seems to be where they're headed. And I'm
yeah,
like, college graduate, need
yeah,
to, get started on something. So let me,
yeah.
go out here and test the waters out.
Okay. Oh,
Yeah.
well, man, I think that might be a note. Like I can see the rocket. Just the burners are starting right now. I can see
Man,
them,
appreciate
man.
it.
I can see
Thank
them.
you.
You know, so I think we may wrap it right now. But
Okay.
Ronald, not
Yeah.
Ron or Ronnie, but Ronald.
Right.
Brother, thank you for sharing
No
time
problem,
and
man.
space and doing what you're doing in the world. It's a beautiful
Man.
thing.
Thank you for having me, man. Thank you.